Okay, so we're going. All right, here we are. It's Carla Cherry with Cosmic Goody Bag. We have Dylan Lewis Monroe on the show today. He's the creator of the Q Map. He calls it the Q Web. He started a project called the Deep State Mapping Project. And so we are going to get into all things conspiracies today. Thank you, John. So I want to ask you, Dylan, where did the idea come from and why a map?
I've been an artist for about 5 years full time, and my previous project was coming to an end, and Trump was being inaugurated. And since Trump had actually come on the Alex Jones show before, like during the election cycle, there was this sentiment that like he's open to conspiracies and that like it might be okay, safe at least for conspiracy theorists to sort of come out of the closet finally. So as he was being inaugurated, I sort of started this new art project, like not even realizing how big it would become. But it was basically like exposing conspiracies through art. And the Women's March really inspired me to do the first piece that was like a list of different conspiracies. And in the beginning, it was intended to be like a multimedia project, like some digital art, some portraiture. I did like a Trump logo early on that was like a little bit like in a G.I. Joe style. It wasn't like trying to necessarily be completely like hardcore supporting him, but it was just like for fun, and I'm being creative with it. So that's how it started, and then it just got more and more complex over 2017, and then in 2018 with the Q Web being released. I think I just lost you on the Instagram live, but I'll just keep try to join my live again. 2018 with the Q Web being released, it just got even more complex and has gained in complexity since. So people are digging the more complex diagrams. The simple ones sort of like didn't take off as much, but it's all about like the full complexity.
So, and I can't hear myself. So What is the difference between the Illuminati, the Cabal, the Deep State? All these words are getting thrown around. Is there a difference between the three?
So the Deep State is like the new buzzword for it. Sort of, I think Fox News has promoted that one mostly, and actually that's the one that sort of triggers liberals nowadays. But it's the same idea. It's basically, the shadow government. And different people do have different definitions of it. For me, Deep State really means like contained within the U.S. government.
Okay.
But obviously, like the Illuminati is a more overarching term. Like I think the Illuminati covers more like celebrities, royalty, people who are really high up monetarily.
Speaking of the Illuminati, like I want to hear some stories. Like what are some stories? No, because I find myself, and I think a lot of us find ourselves, in the rabbit hole on the weekends and like trying to figure out like, what is this deal? Like, what's the deal with Beyonce and the symbol in their hands? And what's the deal with Justin Timberlake and all those random symbols that just happen to be placed in the videos? What's the deal with the Illuminati?
Yeah, like what's the story? That's really where it's most apparent, and where people throw around the symbols and the words the most. Like it really isn't. It might even not be like a real concrete, brick and mortar society that people like walk into. But I think in celebrity culture is like actually like the best evidence that some organization called the Illuminati does still exist, and that they use the eye as their symbol. I mean, that's on the dollar bill, but it's clear that Freemasons do exist in this country, that they have concrete lodges you can walk into and see. But the Illuminati is a much more secretive organization, if it even exists, and it might exist through like different organizations of other names. Like for example, that Nexium cult, that sex cult that's getting busted. It's like that could easily be one of the main like hubs of the Illuminati. And I've also heard that Scientology is sort of like a public name that is actually basically the Illuminati connected to that.
What's the Nexium cult?
Nexium, I just know it as like a sex cult because that's basically how it's been exposed in the media. I'm not sure what it was meant to be. Maybe it was like a sex club or something, but it's basically an organization that was trafficking, human trafficking, and celebrities were involved. Like Allison Mack, a female celebrity from Smallville, I think, has been arrested for being involved with that, and the founders are in deep legal trouble right now. It's something that QAnon has exposed and that has actually come out in the media as one of like the sealed indictments that's actually come to fruition. All right, you not okay, sorry. I was talking and now I'm approving you for my live.
Okay, cool.
Welcome, Carla from Cosmic Goody Bag. Everybody go follow her. Um, Up and coming new news media channel.
Well, yeah, I don't know if I take on the title
There
media.
you are.
But okay, cool. So we're doing it. Oh my God, you guys, we did it.
Citizen journalism.
Citizen journalism, exactly. I mean, here's the thing. I came in through sort of the ET door. I feel like everybody comes in through different doors to the conspiracy theory stuff, we have to come up with a new word for conspiracy theory, right? The conspiracy theory situation, like,
Hmm.
I mean, I know that that's
I
your,
like truther, or just
yeah, truth seeking. I came in it through the ET world because I started reading and I found out the massive culture cover up with ETs. And then I've had my own experiences. So I'm like, you can't tell me that I'm not having this experience. You know what I mean? Like that's that's my own experience. So, and then you have all these other ideas that are, being covered up, and I'm so excited that you're putting it all on a map so we can kind of, because I've spent weekends down the rabbit hole, and you end up like in some random, when you end up on like a random video at the end, like you're just like, okay, I've gone too far. So like, it's good that you're putting it all in one map. I love that you're giving that service. So what is where we go one we go all? Where did that come from?
that came from QAnon. It was just something he had posted, and people figured out. Like first, he had said where we go when we go all, and then he simplified it to just WWG1 WGA. And first, he had just posted it, and then later on, people realized it was actually a quote from the movie White Squall. Which
Okay.
there's a whole slew of connections. It's like it's connected to like Ridley Scott, I think, and like there's like a bell in it, and there's like Kennedy. It's like this whole complex thing. But basically that's just like a rally cry for QAnon, and it's connected to that movie. And actually in the Grammys, I think it was, they actually had like a tribute to Jeff Bridges, and they showed a clip of that movie with that quote in it. So there's
Really?
a few different reasons people think that like this alliance connected to QAnon sort of like took over the Grammys and like threw in the Q propaganda, like in not propaganda, but like the Q isms like into the Grammys.
Really?
There was also like this woman handing out Fiji water bottles, which has a whole other connection to like QAnon and like signifies human trafficking bust going on. But yeah, so we think that QAnon has infiltrated Hollywood to a degree, and starting to drain the swamp on the West Coast as well as the East Coast, hopefully.
So I have to ask you a question right up top because, I started off, as a Democrat and thinking like, oh, I'm a woman, pro woman, all that. And but just lately, like the smearing, like people who are into the red hat, make America great again, they're smearing it as Nazi, racist. I went on to like the Q Wikipedia, and when I met you at Conscious Life Expo, I was like, you are the furthest thing from a white racist, like Nazi. Like, so I mean, come on, like you're the furthest thing from that. And so can you speak to that? Because I think, I live in Hollywood and I've worked in the film industry, and a lot of people are just so afraid of being like seen as crazy. And so the word conspiracy is synonymous with crazy now. So people are so afraid of it or getting away from it, like in the mainstream. Like, so can you speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, what political party am I is basically what you're asking, which I'm fine talking about. It's like it's become so taboo because the media has made it so into black and white and tried to like divide people so much and create a conflict. But or like the first few elections since I was able to vote, like I don't even think I really voted because I was, kind of just like thought the whole system was so corrupt it didn't matter. Then I pretty much considered myself, I would say like in my mind at least, it's going to sound bad now, but I consider myself like far left because I was like really liberal and stuff. I was living in New York, and that was just the culture. And I consider myself further left than even most of the leftists. But then the first time I voted, I think I voted like libertarian, and then actually in 2016 I voted Green Party. But ever since Trump became a candidate, like I did not feel like he was a Republican candidate. Like I knew he was running for the Republican Party, but all signs indicate that he was more of like a threat to the establishment Republican Party.
What
And
wait,
so
what are
I
those
didn't consider him.
signs? What are those signs?
Well, just that the traditional media attacked him so hardcore. Like, the Bushes indicate they didn't like him. I think, like a lot of these international organizations, like the Council on Foreign Relations, maybe not during the election campaign, but eventually, like, they came out as against him. And, he came out against all these globalist policies that the Republicans had been pushing. So even though he was on the Republican platform, it was like a totally different campaign. So I never really considered him a Republican even. And he's really more like an outsider to me. It's like kind of a joke that people do actually consider him Republican, because he's taken all the Republican policies and sort of flushed them down the toilet.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I consider him, he ran Republican probably for tactical reasons. And I just consider him more of an independent candidate.
Okay, so we were talking earlier about the Illuminati, the Cabal, the deep state. So you think that the Hollywood is named at the deep state, but in the Illuminati is more in the celebrity industry, and Cabal is just an overarching term?
I think Cabal is probably like the best term because it's sort of like the least specific. And like, no, everybody knows there's not like a specific organization called like the Cabal, but it's like, it's kind of the best term to use because that Cabal would include Illuminati and deep state. Like I said before, deep state to me is like, means kind of like within the government. That's why I almost want to rename my project so that I can like expand like further to more topics. And then Illuminati is sort of within like the world of secret societies. The Cabal definitely would include like the Illuminati, the deep state, the shadow government, and definitely would include these international organizations like think tanks, the Council on Foreign Relations, CFR, and then including like nobility as well. So Cabal is probably the best term to use, but Cabal Mapping Project doesn't have like the ring to it.
So I just want to say hello to everybody that's joining. Thank you so much for joining. We've got lots of people coming on. We're talking to Dylan Lewis Monroe of the Deep State Mapping Project. He has taken all these conspiracies that a lot of us have spent a lot of time reading and looking into, and he's put it all into a map, and we are going to get into some of those now. I want to know, what's the deal with the creepy Denver airport?
Oh my God, the Denver airport. A lot of theories behind that one. And they've been all coming out into the open recently. Like I just saw they've put up a new gargoyle statue that talks to people and like makes jokes about it being like an Illuminati fortress or something.
Are you serious?
But
okay, so
I
you
definitely
have to tell people who don't know about the Denver airport. How would you describe it?
Well, the weirdest thing is that there's certain art pieces in it that are very like Illuminati-esque. So there's like a horse outside that people say is basically like the horse of the apocalypse. It has red glowing eyes. And then there was a huge mural of like, it looks sort of like a Nazi soldier with a gas mask, like taking over the world and like just like despair. And then there's like a plaque that says like, Masons built this entire airport. And then just recently they're doing renovations and there's all kinds of billboards like saying, just making jokes about these theories that people had already had. And so it just piles up. So basically the premise of all these theories is that while they were building it, they did this huge amount of underground work and that it is sort of like a hub, an underground hub base under the airport. And I don't think anyone's actually proven that.
What's under there?
It could be like a continuity of government program. Like I have been to the Greenbrier Hotel, and I think it's like Virginia, where they built out a whole underground bunker where the whole government could go in the case of a nuclear disaster. And so it could definitely be something like that. But I mean, the extent of our government's underground bunker, deep underground base is so extensive. Most people don't even realize it's not just for continuity of government. It's like they've built a whole fucking empire underground. Tell me about pretend it. Like it doesn't exist.
And pretend and nobody knows. Like how I heard about it is through the alien stuff. Is because there's there's a underground secret space program. So you're saying it's more extensive than that. And like, can you?
Well, everyone knows that. Yeah, everyone knows that there's underground bases. Like we just don't know the extent of it. But when you look up an image of, say, like a tunnel boring machine, okay, so they have these machines that are literally like 3 stories wide that can just like bore a huge hole through the earth. And like, that's how they build basically these. You can see pictures of these machines and it's like, well, if they've built these machines, like clearly they're using them, but they never really tell people like how much they've used them, like how far these underground tunnels go. And, you can look up theoretical maps of like the underground tunnel system in America. Like I think Phil Schneider, who's on the Cube, was one of like the whistleblowers who was talking about like the extent of these underground bases. And he died eventually. I'm not sure. I think he probably got murdered.
Oh my God.
But sorry, Phil. Rest in peace. But yeah, it's extensive. Like no one knows the full extent of it, but
oh my God,
it goes deep for sure.
No pun intended. Okay, next one. What are the Knights of Templars? Am I saying that right?
Knights Templar
Knights
or
Templar.
Knights Templars. The Vatican created them to carry out the Crusades. They were basically like the elite of the army during the Crusades, and they established the modern banking system pretty much. After the Crusades, they moved into Switzerland, made that their home base, used basically the same logo as their symbol. Like they had a red cross on a white background before as their uniform, and then when they established Switzerland, they switched it to like the red background with the white cross so no one would notice. Yeah, you won't. I don't think you'll really find that in like normal history books, but there's a lot of evidence that that's kind of how Switzerland was formed. And
I just want to acknowledge somebody said, "Are you going to make a map of the underground tunnels?" Who is that?
Well, you can already find one. I mean, and I'm not sure if it's accurate because this is coming from like leakers and whistleblowers, but you can find on Google, just search for like map of the underground base system in the U.S. and you can see how like the main hubs, like where it's connected. Like I know Dulce, New Mexico is like a huge underground base, and then it's like connected to Denver and it's connected to obviously like LA. It goes all over the country though, obviously to DC as well. And people even say that these underground tunnels connect the whole world, like the different continents, and that
really
there's a lot of theories of extensive underground bases happening in Antarctica as well.
Let's go to Antarctica. What's going on there?
What's going on? Depends who you ask. For sure, there's definitely evidence that the Nazis like led like a real photographed. You can look it up. Expedition there. They called it New Schwabenland. It was basically like an extension of Nazi Germany, like during World War II. And so they were down there even before the war, like developing infrastructure and research facilities. And then, during the war, they kind of kept a low profile down there. And we think that after like the war technically ended in Europe, that the leaders of the Nazis basically retreated to Antarctica and as well like South America. And so then the US tried to rout them out. That was called Operation High Jump. They got turned away by advanced flying saucer technology. But then eventually the Nazis infiltrated our government through Project Paperclip. And so the US and the Nazis sort of like merged and they both started developing Antarctica together. So, there's no telling like how many different people are involved in Antarctica now, but there's definitely probably still like the original Nazi bases. There's definitely still like American bases that have been developed there. And then people say that there's even like extraterrestrial bases there.
Yes.
If you've listened to any of Corey Goode's testimony, who, he's a secret space program whistleblower that has given very extensive and amazing testimony about the extraterrestrial species and places he's visited. And I didn't put him on the Q Web, Corey Goode, because it's so out there,
right,
that I don't really know where to draw the line with him, and like a lot of his information isn't really corroborated that much.
Okay.
Some people will say it is, but there's not really photo evidence, or like it's not as hard. Like I try to keep it more like concrete information on the Q Web. So his is a little more wishy-washy, but it's definitely possible that it's all true, but it's also possible that there's some misinformation strewn in. So it's interesting testimony to be aware of, Corey Goode, but I wouldn't take it like without a grain of salt.
So, okay, I'm glad that you said that, because a friend of mine, Dave, shout out to David French, who I talk to about Q stuff all the time. He wanted me to ask you, and don't kill me, David, for just saying shout out to you, but he wanted me to ask, like, of all the things like on the map, like, do you feel, it was interesting that you just said that, like, I'm not putting Corey Goode on because some of the stuff is too out there. Do you feel like all the stuff that's on the map is vetted and proven? And yeah, let's see the
map. Most of it kind of is. I mean, I just having this argument with my father yesterday that, it's really most of the 20th century information is based on declassified information.
Okay.
And then, most of the stuff from pre-20th century is like, people just don't know the history of the Middle Ages, like, at all. Like, we're not taught any of this shit about like the Jesuits or like, the French Revolution in American history classes. We're just not taught that stuff. So it's like, you can know it or not. Like, it's pretty much the establishment mainstream history. So in my presentation at Conscious Life, I did say, the most sort of theoretical, unproven section is like the ET section, right here, like this bubble, basically, like not even this section, because this is like the government projects from the ET program that most of them have been exposed. But, most of the stuff on here is pretty well confirmed, I would say.
So you're
but it
looking at
depends from point to
documents.
point.
Okay. Yeah, because going back to Antarctica for a second, and people are shocked to find out about that. Like, I mean, some of the stuff that when you first hear it, it is so shocking, and then you have to take time to absorb it and go, really? I mean, but shout out to Linda Moulton Howe, who was at Conscious Life Expo. She's been researching this stuff about the ETs since the 80s because she had on big battery packs. She was a journalist. She walked near the mutilated cows. She was trying to figure out what happened to the cows. Nobody was talking about it. And whenever she got near the cows, the battery pack would stop. And then when she would walk away from it, the battery pack would work again. So, that's weird.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely a phenomenon.
Yeah, so she's done the whole stuff with Antarctica, and she said that they've recently gone down. And you have to wonder, like right after Trump got elected, the princes went there. The princess went there. Who else went there? Like all these random people. Joe Biden went to Antarctica.
Like I heard John Kerry. Yeah.
Why? I mean, this is the day after the election. Antarctica, by the way, does not have 5-star Hiltons. So, this is some random travel. You know what I mean? For like people who are high up in the industry. So, yeah.
I think I even heard like the Pope went there, but it's like, you got to wonder like if some of these stories are true, but people are definitely like going there and coming back for reasons that are not being disclosed.
Well, she was saying that they have found the black sun on the back of these doors. They're made out of material. Yeah, you should check out her stuff. She was, I know that you were busy.
That wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, that's an interesting symbol, the black sun. There's not a whole lot of information out there about that black sun symbol, but it's definitely connected with like the Nazi occult elite.
She said that these doors were made out of a material that we don't have the capability or technology to carve, and they're huge and they're heavy, and that you would touch them with your index finger and it would lightly, gently open, and there was the black sun symbols on the back of the doors. So, just even more confirmation. I mean, because when you hear stuff like Antarctica is a base where there's aliens and it's connected to the Nazis and people hid there. But, there is the, what was it, Admiral Byrd? Tell us about what you know about Admiral Byrd. Mm-hmm. That was the first thing that I read.
Well, he led that big expedition down there to try to get rid of the rest of the Nazis, and they got turned away supposedly by flying saucers. So, the extent to that story's like veracity, like I'm not 100%, but there's definitely photographs. So for me, like the main proof of these Antarctica theories, like there's so many people like throwing out, theories about it. But for me, the main proof is like the photographs of Nazis going there and like establishing their bases, which like there's photographic evidence. It's like that happened. And B, photographs that this expedition, the, Operation High Jump with what's his name, Admiral Byrd, that there's photographs that actually happened, and that they took way more ships and equipment than that they would have needed for like a normal scientific expedition. So
right. What do they need all that for?
Those two things are established history, and whether UFOs attack them or not is there's no photographs of that. Probably if there were photographs, they would have been very highly classified and kept secret.
Mm-hmm.
So, these things, I'm pretty sure they did happen. I'm pretty sure he got repelled by the flying saucers. Because there's also photographs, not from Antarctica, but there's photographs of Nazi flying saucers. Now, are those real photographs, or are those, fraud, or like, not Photoshop, but, people could like, some people set up UFO photographs with like tin cans and stuff. And like, I have, my gut feeling is that these photographs you can find of Nazi UFOs, like, I think it's called like Haribo 2 or something was the name of their craft. It's on here. Hannibal too.
Hannibal too.
You know, I think these photographs.
Refresh
I think these photographs of Nazi UFOs are legit, and that, you know, if they were developing these during World War II, it's conceivable that they had a whole fucking fleet of them in Antarctica that repelled Admiral Byrd when he tried to go down. So
It's so
it's
crazy.
like there's enough evidence here. There's enough evidence here that you can like make the logical connections in your mind, even though there's not photographic evidence of everything.
Majestic 12.
So Majestic 12 is connected to some of like the earliest UFO related projects in the US government.
Okay.
So I actually read this book called The US Navy Secret Space Program by Michael Sala that talked a lot about that. And I learned a few new things that aren't even on the QWeb, like early on. So there was like, supposedly UFOs flew over Los Angeles. We shot a few of them down in like 1942 and then tried to like reverse engineer their technology.
Right.
And a unit was formed in the government called the Interplanetary Phenomenon Unit, I think, like IPU. And Majestic 12 is connected to that. So it's like this secretive group within the government that was assigned to research and figure out the ET phenomenon.
Why do you think it's being hidden? And also, can people see me and hear me? I just heard that I should refresh.
I'm not sure about on Instagram. Like Instagram, you're looking pretty frozen, and it's like a thinking signal. But I think you might want to just let go of Instagram, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, we can keep going, but I mean, a lot of people have joined, and they're all.
I am seeing some people making comments. All right. So Deep Time 17 says MJ12 was a psyop to get the public off topic. Okay. I've heard that theory, but I don't know. Like I've seen declassified documents about MJ12 that look pretty realistic. So, I mean, yeah, they could be doing that, but it's whether it's called MJ12 or not, it's like they definitely had like units assigned to research the extraterrestrial phenomenon. Maybe it was like, maybe the IPU was the real name for what the general public thinks was MJ12. Like that's a possibility because they basically would have been assigned like the same task.
So, okay. Marilyn Monroe. I know we asked about that before, but what's the deal? Marilyn Monroe.
Well, supposedly part of the reason, so she was definitely having an affair with Kennedy. I think most people kind of know that. You've heard like the
both
Happy
brothers,
birthday, right? Mr. President. So, I mean, it could have been just like a huge PR disaster if she, you know, if that got out. And B, like he could have shared certain information with her. Like I've heard one theory that he might have shared information about extraterrestrials with her, that the reason Kennedy was assassinated was partially because he wanted to, you know, expose extraterrestrials, make it public.
Right.
So he could have had something to do with that. I mean, it could just be another Illuminati sacrifice, like, you know, Whitney Houston style or Michael Jackson style.
Okay, tell me.
By the way, can we talk about Michael Jackson on this live?
Please, let's talk about Michael Jackson. First of all,
that's my boy.
Everybody knew he was a grown man with a merry-go-round in his yard. So, I mean, okay. I'm just saying, like, as a parent, I would never have let you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, play with the merry-go-round, but, you know, come nightfall, we going home. So
you're a good parent. You're a better parent than some of these parents that were probably just trying to get a lawsuit out of him.
Yeah, so I just want to know, but my heart loves Michael Jackson. So, I mean, that's a whole thing. But I do want to say, what's the older black gentleman comic that is awesome, that broke all this stuff down? I'm spacing. He was amazing. He just died recently. Oh my God, we should look that up. But anyway, if you go into his stuff, he would talk about how Michael Jackson was like murdered. And his whole theory was he was murdered with a laser. Like, whoosh. Did you hear that?
Huh?
You just Scooby-Doo.
I thought he was murdered with the propofol.
With a what?
With the propofol. I mean, I thought like basically his doctor killed him with the propofol, or who knows what happened. I mean, maybe they put in something even stronger to actually kill him, but it was partially, you know, all these conspiracies, there's a logistical element where they want to like stop someone from talking, and then there's also a monetary element where they want to make a huge insurance scam. And so I think with Michael Jackson, it was both of those. Like there was people that wanted the music library that he owned.
Right.
And they also wanted to collect the insurance on that concert tour he was going to do in the UK.
Right.
But so in terms of if he's like a child molester or not, like for me with Michael Jackson, it's like he was brought into this so young. Like
Right.
if he was brought into the Illuminati like at the age of fucking 5, you know.
Oh, you think so?
So
is that
for sure. For
wow.
sure.
Okay, how do you know
for
that?
sure.
Where are you?
Well, just like the level of fame he achieved at a young age. I mean, any child actor is pretty much like in the time period we're talking about, any child actor is pretty much guaranteed to have been abused in some way and you know, brought into that culture. So if he was brought into that culture at that age, he probably grew up thinking like it's normal to do this with kids. And so even if he did like abuse these kids, it's like this is what he was taught from a young age. So it's like, how can you really blame him? Like unless someone came in and did like reverse MK Ultra on him to turn him into a normal person and, you know, break him out of this Illuminati bloodlines of the Illuminati culture, then, you know, I mean, definitely he would be responsible to a degree. But I also think that I don't know, like I don't want to pass judgment either way, but, you know, it's possible that he was brought up in this lifestyle, but then, you know, like was entertaining these kids, trying to like maybe protect them from it in a way. So he would like have them in his house, but like not really like sexually abuse them, like just do like really weird, inappropriate stuff, but not really like sexually abuse them. And that's kind of what Macaulay Culkin and what's his other name, Corey Feldman are saying, because they were like really good friends with Michael Jackson.
Do you know about the Finding Neverland, the movie that just came out?
I've definitely heard people talking about it, but I haven't watched it yet though.
Okay.
But I feel like that's going to be like not really, I feel like that's going to be like not the full picture, like not a completely objective standpoint, because it's kind of trying to be, it's definitely like from what I've heard is trying to paint him as like this like pedovore monster, which I think, you know, it's like we might not really know because there's definitely still people defending him. Like I said, Macaulay Culkin and Corey Feldman. So it's like if you're not looking at both sides of the picture, you're not really being objective.
Yeah, because Macaulay Culkin has defended him throughout, right? And so has Feldman, like defended him.
Yeah. Right.
What's that? Wait, say it again. Can you make him that phone number?
Macaulay Culkin is definitely the most trustworthy person in Hollywood.
Okay, so I feel like that is such murky waters. But let's get to like Whitney Houston. And by the way, we're taking live calls in 5 minutes, so we are going to try the live phone calls. And then you guys can also ask questions in the chat if you want, if the phone call doesn't work. But the phone number is, what's the phone number? It's right there.
Yeah.
Just read it. Hold on one second.
Let me look at the chat for a second. Rex Bear.
What's the number? 323-230-4 7 6 1. Okay, well, you guys just write it down and I'll read it. Okay, cool. All right, so yeah, let's try the chats. He outed some dude as a
lot of theories popping off in the Instagram chat.
Yeah. So someone says, who is this? Low 7 dash lots of numbers. He outed some dude as a baby eater. I don't know who outed who. Okay, next. Rex Bear was repping. Rex Bear was repping.
A lot of baby eaters.
A lot of baby eaters. Okay, so what? Okay, so hold on. There was something that just dropped on Q. Now that I'm in this whole Q thing, Hillary being dangerous to children. Did you see that one?
About Q said so?
Yeah, something about Q and Hillary being dangerous.
I wouldn't leave my children with. I would leave my children with Michael Jackson before Hillary. Let's just put it that way.
But what is the deal?
I don't have any children, so take it from which.
People have such a hard time with that. Like, what? Just in a nutshell, what are the claims?
So actually, I just posted something in my Instagram story. I learned more about Hillary Clinton recently. Someone was talking to me on Instagram about like the mothers of darkness. So there's a theory that while our world might look like it's a patriarchy from the outside or from like the common perspective, that on a very high secretive level, it's actually like a matriarchy that's like ruling.
Really?
And that it's like basically like dark witches that form this thing called like the motherhood of darkness. And so the idea is that Hillary might be a part of that, and that she might actually rank higher than Bill in terms of like Illuminati ranking system. because, you know, all this like Freemasonry and Illuminati, it's all hierarchical. Like they have titles, and it's like, if you like, you know, if who's above who, basically. So in the book Bloodlines of the Illuminati, which is kind of like between Bloodlines of the Illuminati and Behold the Pale Horse by Bill Cooper, it's like these two are like the conspiracy Bibles, pretty much. Like they like broke it down like so hard. And so I was just reading in Bloodlines, like I looked up Mothers of Darkness in the index, and yeah, it says like Hillary is part of this like Mothers of Darkness. Like she's confirmed to be practicing like shamanic witchcraft, like black magic.
Oh Lord, I need to put a protection spell around me right now. I need to protect myself right now.
And so, I mean, that definitely comes with the territory of like, you know, the pedophorism, like the child sacrifice. So, you know, there's not direct evidence of her doing anything to children, I don't think, but it's like, she's like in that territory. And so we know that like those rituals come with the territory.
Okay. So we have a question. My name is pronounced Lost in Space. Okay. Thank you for that. Have you heard of higher dimensional secret societies? Have you heard of higher dimensional secret societies? I was looking into the Merkaba activation, and people apparently need to get initiated by higher dimensional something. Go ahead.
That is a little bit above master conspiracy.
Yeah.
You might want to go to 5D awakening consciousness for that one.
Okay, that's fair enough.
In terms, like, I'll just say people have asked me or told me about these, like the light side of the secret society world, because like I'm kind of focused on like the Illuminati, the dark side of the secret society world. And there are people who say that there's this like great white brotherhood who's basically composed of like the ascended masters.
Okay.
And you know, like a like white dragon society on Earth, which is basically like good people that run secret societies that try to like counteract these bad ones. And it's like, I'm hoping this exists. I haven't seen like a whole lot of evidence of it. Like there's definitely a lot more concrete evidence of like the dark side of society's existence and like their impact on the world.
Right.
But it's like kind of by common logic, like the yin yang, you kind of think like, well, there has to be some kind of counterbalance to this.
Right.
I definitely do believe that there are like positive ET forces that have prevented humanity from basically annihilating the Earth with nuclear war. Like there's evidence that they've disabled
I've heard that.
Nuclear silos. There's evidence that even like live ballistic missiles in the air have been disabled by ETs.
Right.
And so I think we do have some kind of like protectors on a higher level. To answer the question, like I don't know how to get in contact with them to activate your macabre. Like I'm definitely down to do it. Like if you figure out how to DM me.
No, there are people that do that. I've interviewed people that know how to do that, and it's not that hard. You know, the thing is about becoming psychic and you know all these tools that we have. We are in a technology. Our body is a technology, and all you have to do is figure out how to use it, right? So I was going to ask you. Are you, and by the way, I just want to give the number. We are going to try this live call thing. If it doesn't work, we'll just do Instagram. But if you want to try calling at Dash Studios, don't call. Yeah, call him 323-230-4610. 323-230-4610. And we're going to try to get your voice on. And look, any jokers, I will shoot you back down the chute, because this is a serious conversation. I mean, we're having fun, but you know.
And will we be able to hear the voices on the air?
I mean, we're gonna try, and if we don't, then this is all experiment.
That would be amazing.
323-230-4610. 323-230-4610. Okay, give us a call if you want. Okay, and then tell me if they're. You got one caller?
No, that's what I'll say.
Okay, we don't have a call yet. Also okay, so all right.
We're definitely pushing the limits of the bandwidth with like the Instagram Live and the Zoom Live. So.
Which, you know what I mean? We roll on the wild side, you know what I mean? We're pushing it all.
You got to push the technology, you know?
You're pushing the technology. So I want to ask you, do you ever feel scared that you're revealing all this? Or have you had any backlash, you know? Because we talk about like Amber Smith, it's like, they killed my dog. And like all kinds of people are, you know, getting hurt. Not to bring it up, but I'm just saying, like, have you had, first of all, they've shut down your Shopify, right? With no explanation.
Yeah.
Which is bullshit, by the way.
I haven't had any real like physical intimidation like that. I'd say like the main things have been these like business roadblocks. Like Shopify is the main one. And then the other main thing that happened business-wise was I was supposed to have a whole set of merchandise at the Met show that opened in September. I was supposed to have posters and t-shirts, which was going to be like a huge thing for me.
At which show?
The Metropolitan, Everything is Connected Conspiracy Art Show.
Oh.
So yeah, I was supposed to have like a big section of the gift shop for Master Conspiracy Deep State Mapping Project, but that it was all being developed like around August, around the time when all the mainstream media released their first like slew of articles about QAnon. And at that time, when those articles were released, everyone at the Met design department, who is like a liberal, Hillary voter, was like, we cannot be selling like the cube map merchandise. And so all that merch got canceled at the last minute. My artwork was still published in the exhibit's catalog, but all the merch was canceled, unfortunately.
Okay.
So those are the two main like business roadblocks. I haven't. Yeah, financial. Well, that's their only power now, because I think with QAnon, like this is the whole reason I started the project, was that, the CIA has lost the ability to go after these like not whistleblowers, but, conspiracy theorists that are like, stirring the pot, because they're too busy covering their own ass. A lot of them are probably headed for Gitmo soon because of these like sealed indictments, the mass arrests that are going to happen.
Tell us about that. Tell us about that for people who don't know. Like I keep hearing two things. I keep hearing sealed indictments. They're coming out, and then also. I have friends that follow Q that say, oh, it's coming. These big things are coming. And then they seem to be disappointed that they don't come. What are the things that they're promising that are coming? Is it like Hillary's arrest? And why isn't it coming? And yeah, those are my questions.
Well, that's a big one. Yeah, definitely. We're expecting this whole like Mueller investigation combined with like, there's like an opposite side of the Mueller investigation, which is like the Huber investigation of like the crimes of the Obama administration and the Clinton Foundation. So we have basically like two investigations going on, like one targeting Trump and one targeting the Obama administration.
Right.
And, this one's like not really showing too much evidence that like Trump has colluded with the Russians, even though like liberals will say otherwise if they've been listening to CNN. But so like once this investigation dissolves, I think, like, we don't even know, like, Mueller, there's some theories that say Mueller might actually be working for Trump, just like stringing this along for some reason.
Right.
But there is, people who understand like the legal system have revealed that there is this huge amount of sealed indictments building up across the country, which is basically court cases that are tried in private. And then they make the arrest all at once of like a group of people. It's like, it's designed for mafia style prosecution, so like
right.
organized crime, which is what we're dealing with. What we've been dealing with for the past 50 years is a massive organized crime ring that's been like running our country and the world. So they have figured out this way to actually prosecute them through these sealed indictments now that we have a president that is not part of that cabal, and
right.
He has appointed people, this guy Huber, who's like working out of Utah, I think, to organize all these sealed indictments. And they've been working for the past almost 3 years, like accumulating them. And there's hundreds in each state. There's like hundreds of indictments for supposedly like the whole cabal is like headed to like FEMA camps and Gitmo. But like, who knows? I mean, I'm not like holding my breath. Like, honestly, like, I don't even look at the QAnon posts like that religiously anymore, just because it has gone on for so long that it's like almost become a little bit of a joke. Like, it's still like dead serious, of course, but it's just like, you look like an idiot at this point if you're like me, like, oh, like March 5th, something's going to happen. Like, because it's like something might happen behind the scenes, but it's like they have to be so careful about this because, they are trying to take down the same people who designed our legal system. So it's like, you've got to be like outsmarting them, like they say 5D chess. It's not going to be a simple like walk on the door, bang on the door, and like arrest someone. It's going to be like they have lawyers too, like they own all the lawyers, like the whole legal system is tied into the Masonic system.
Okay, so do you think when you did you ever get into David Icke? Did you ever read his stuff? Like, I mean, he goes all the way.
David.
It goes. You love him. It goes all the way. It always goes straight back to lizards. You know what I mean? All the way back to lizards. By the way, if you guys have a question, please ask. Feel free to call in and
David Icke.
Yeah, but David Icke, like, what's like? Do you think it all goes back to lizards? Okay, here we are. He's on
David Icke. Yeah, he's on there. David Icke's on there. It's like, I feel like David Icke, Alex Jones, and Bill Cooper are really like the forefathers of the modern conspiracy mythos. It's not a mythos. It's like, conspiracy research, because they really like blaze the trails in a lot of different areas. And, David Icke definitely covers the extraterrestrial element that Alex Jones stays away from. So between the two of them, it's like a much more complete picture. But even, and it's now they've become even more divided, because like they have collaborated before, but, now Alex Jones is like 1,000% pro-Trump, and David Icke is like 1,000% anti-Trump. And so it's like, who do we trust?
Wait, say that again. Say that again. Who's anti-Trump?
David Icke is anti-Trump and anti-QAnon. Like, actually, David Icke just published an interview like last week saying that QAnon is the same old charade of like people believing something's going to happen and then it never happens, and then just keep believing it. It's basically like stringing people along, trying to keep the peace. And, I think David Icke would definitely say that QAnon is sort of like a partisan, like basically an anti-Democrat psyop, like a pro-Republican psyop.
What do you think about that?
Well, that's kind of like what turns me off a little bit about QAnon, is that it does seem very partisan, and that, QAnon has spoken so much about the idea of prosecuting the Obama administration people and the Clintons, but hasn't spoken hardly anything about prosecuting the Bushes and Dick Cheney, who fucking carried out 9/11. So, even on 9/11, I was really disappointed when QAnon didn't post anything specifically about the fact that it was like this huge, like, orange section conspiracy here. So, I think I still believe in QAnon, like I trust the plan or whatever, but like I'm doing my own thing. And I think even after the plan, I think that QAnon has avoided targeting Republicans because, with Trump running on the Republican Party, like he's trying not to alienate the base too much, because he doesn't, one of the hardest things for people to do with all of this information is that admit that they have been wrong about something,
Right.
And so all the Republicans who voted for Trump, like they don't want to admit that they were wrong in voting for Bush.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, then there's like the small contingent who voted libertarian or whatever, and now, support Trump's agenda, but that's a very small minority. Like, so,
well, I just want to say real quickly that a friend of mine was saying, you should tell people with QAnon, it's set up for one, it's set up in question form. So they're never saying this is how it is. It's always questions. Is that right? Like it's always a question.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, sometimes Q has to come out and be like, hey, listen, idiots, like this is what I'm trying to say. But most of the time it's set up in this very Socratic method of asking questions and leading the researchers on 4chan, 8chan to discover the answers for themselves.
And I want to ask you, before I ask you, who do you think Q is? But we do have a question. So I want to say, let's give a shout out to the question. What about Jordan Maxwell? Comes from PTJ Mentis. Thank you for asking the question. What about Jordan Maxwell?
I've watched a little bit of his interviews, but I haven't really even watched the whole thing. So he sounds like he's on the right track, but I'm not as familiar with him.
Okay. And then just for people who don't know, who is Q?
Q, let's see. A group within the military working with Trump. Trump is most likely Q plus when Q signs some of his posts as Q plus, like that's supposedly directly from Trump. But the rest of the Q team would be people working with Trump, disseminating this information. So connected with like the Marine, connected with the NSA, connected with General Flynn. We don't know exactly who it is. I ended my conscious life speech saying like maybe it's Baron Trump, but and then like the higher aspect of Q is that is this team receiving guidance from an even higher source? So I definitely entertain the thought that this whole operation might be led in a way by some extraterrestrial positive forces that have taken over power in this country, taken basically, just to say it flat out, like the Pleiadians have taken back power from like the reptilians. So like the Nazis and like the Bush era people were all aligned with like these like reptilian ETs, whereas now we're thinking that it's basically like the Federation of Light, the Pleiadians, just the positive ET species are aligned with Trump and Melania, who might be a Pleiadian, and that these forces might be in a way behind some of like the Q information and the Q project.
She does look a little different, right?
She looks a little different.
What's the deal with her white hat? Everybody's like, white hat when she went to Egypt. Oh, wait, before I ask my question, let me Do you have any idea why they call it Q? Comes from Susie Wong 40.
Q.
Like
Um,
where the name come from? Q.
as a question, like
Wasn't that like a Star
there's
Trek
a lot of
reference? Something
there's
about
a lot of weird parallels between the Star Trek Q and QAnon. Like it's sort of like this like omnipotent. What's the word? Omnipotent,
yeah, yeah.
omnipotent being that like knows the future, the past, and it's like able to control everything time wise. And so there's definitely connections to that Q. I don't know why he named himself Q. Like
Who knows? Who knows? That was a letter. It was easy. He's got all these
yeah,
codes.
it's
He just made his
easy.
own. Q for Quebec. No, I doubt that. He said that.
I mean,
Flower
to me,
light.
it's kind of like question. Like it's like question everything. Like he's asking questions.
I think so, yeah. Well, that's the thing is like you just get so tired of the media just shoving, shoving how we're supposed to think. It got ridiculous. Like I was in comedy and it got so ridiculous, and it got quite honestly it got a little mean. Just got everybody got so mean in comedy, and it's like, this is how we're supposed to do it. I would be at the water cooler, and there'd be one person that had the opinion, and everybody would look to that person and just agree. The whole hive mind thing is just insane. So, but what do oh, we have another question. Okay. You seem pretty confident with Palladian benevolent interference. Are you one of them? Someone's asking you if you're a Palladian. And that's Lost in Space.
Possibly Pleiadian starseed. Like actually, one of the things I was going to tell you guys about was that the summer before I did the QWeb. So after I had started the Deep State Mapping Project in like January, that summer, I read the book Teachings of the Pleiadians by Barbara Marciniak, who's one of like the most well-known Pleiadian channelers.
Mm-hmm.
And it really resonated with me, like all of their teachings or whatever. I was like, yep. And in that book, it says, if you're reading this book, like you're probably a Pleiadian starseed. So I know that's sort of like a circular argument, but when I read that, I was like, oh, like maybe I'm connected, or maybe I'm channeling something. Because I have been, I've been really interested in channeling since I sort of started learning about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't claim to have like actually like channeled like any of this information directly or like consciously, but I do think that maybe like after I read that book, like, I tapped into something, and that on a subconscious level or just like some kind of guidance like led me to have these ideas. Because sometimes I'm like having ideas and I'm just like, I don't really know like where it's coming from. I mean, I'm not really like intentionally being like, I'm sitting down to channel right now, but it's like sometimes I'll just be like on a roll, and I'll be like just on fire, like especially if I have a little cannabis.
Well, okay. So I want to ask you with this map stuff. Now I know you had help, and are you channeling it sometimes? Do you feel like you're channeling?
Well, like I just said, like I don't really know how to like consciously channel. Like if you want me to sit down and like go into it right now, like I could just come up with like BS.
You could
But
learn. You could learn that.
I could try. I mean, I just saw actually for the first time at Conscious Life, the live channeling by Daryl, whoever his last name is, channeling Bashar.
Yeah, Bashar. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so that was really cool to see like a live channeling for the first time, because I have watched Barbara Marciniak's channelings on YouTube a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but I had never seen one in person. And it's just really amazing to see someone like go into that trance and then just like come out with like a totally new personality and just like speak so fluidly, like no likes or ums, just like knowing exactly what he's saying, like going through this list of like 7 bullet points and stuff. And it's just like, wow, like either he's like a really great actor or he really is like channeling.
Well, no, you had your own session with Bashar. I saw. What came through for you?
Well, that wasn't a private session. That was a group session. And
Okay.
I took a whole page of notes. I mean, he was like on fire, like really coming off with a lot of information that I was agreeing with. Some of it was a little bit like shocking. Like at one point he said, basically, like, because all is one, like any entity that might want to inhabit you or that you might want to channel through, like, is basically part of you. And so it's okay to sort of like accept like an entity into your body to like let them come through, which I was like, whoa, that could be kind of dangerous. But at the same time, it's like, it's kind of true.
You have to make sure they're the right entity though, right? Like you gotta vet. You gotta vet.
Yeah, you gotta vet. But it's like, he said a lot of stuff. I mean, I had this whole page of notes. I'm actually not sure like where to file them right now, but I've posted them on Instagram, like my first page of notes. And there was even a little bit more on a second page. I took them all on the back of a Great Awakening map. So maybe I'll auction that off or something, because it's actually become like kind of a really cool piece of art, because Great Awakening map on the front and then all these Bashar notes on the back. But yeah, it was really awesome to see that session. And I definitely encourage people to try to find like where he's speaking next, and like him and Barbara Marciniak as well. Like anytime you could go to see a channeling, or like even watch the channelings on YouTube, like check it out, because it's just really interesting information. And actually a lot of this information in the ET section here like comes from channeling. And so you got to decide for yourself like how accurate or how much you want to believe that information. But it's definitely out there, and it's interesting, and there's definitely some valid information there. Maybe not all of it, but you got to not throw out the baby with the bathwater.
So why you? Why do you think that you are the one that stepped up to do this QMAP stuff? I mean, and I asked that, let me just say, I asked that because I talked to a lot of people who have felt like they've had some type of mission. Like, do you feel like, do you agree with that theory where you may have agreed to come down here and then boom, at some point you're activating a mission? Do you fall in that category?
I do think that I'm on kind of like a mission, that I've been that I've come here to help humanity in like a major way somehow. Like when I was just going into college, I started writing this book called Regenesis of Civilization, which was like, as like a freshman college student, and like going into like art, fashion, it was like a little bit unexpected that I would be like trying to write this book about civilization. But I've always not always, but like since that time, I've been really interested in these like big, like heavy topics.
Mm-hmm.
And that book never really got finished, because after I found out about all these conspiracies, it totally changed my perspective on like a lot of what the book was about. Even though a lot of it I would still agree with, but I would have to revise significantly to like incorporate all my new information I know about the whole hidden alternative history.
So tell us about the map. I want to know about the health map you're working on. You're working on a new map.
Oh yeah, the health web. So this is the most recent like printout of the health web that,
okay.
Like no screen caps, please. But yeah, it's coming along. Like I definitely have to work out the color because it's kind of like a mess. It's going to be like all over the place, but I've gotten most of the information like on here. So we got like the symptoms down the middle, and then big pharma on the right or the left, and holistic medicine on the other side. And so basically you're going to take like the symptom, you're going to see like the big pharma remedy, which is just basically most of the time like antihistamines or like antibiotics. And then on the other side, you can follow and find like the holistic remedies. And so, I really want this to be like a helpful tool for people to be able to like find, the best remedies to different conditions.
That's awesome.
There's certain conditions that I knew a lot about myself before I started this, like especially like eczema and like a lot about cancer. But then, I'm learning too, like I'm getting input from other people. Like I just put out a call on Instagram yesterday for people to send me more symptoms, to get like the list of symptoms more extensive. And then in the next few weeks, I'm going to be asking on Instagram my followers about specific symptoms. Like, who knows, like what's the best remedy to autism or like Lyme or whatnot. Don't send me DMs yet. Like I was actually really overwhelmed last night by all the DMs I got about the symptoms. It was just like, I opened Instagram and it's like 50 DMs, but it's great that we're like pooling everyone's knowledge. Cause it's not just me doing this research. I'm pooling everyone, like, now 16,000 subscribers knowledge on to get these maps to be as, full of good information as possible.
And you're researching them. You've got all the information, make sure.
Yeah. Like I'm like looking stuff up and like vetting it.
Yeah. Well, how can people find you? I mean, because I know that your Shopify is down. So how can people find you?
Yeah. So merchandise is currently unavailable. Working to get that back up. It's in progress. It's very complicated. I mean, the Shopify store took months to build and get all the shipping rates correct and get all the taxes correct. So it's not going to be overnight. Like I don't even want to use the word soon, because it really, I mean, it might be soon, but it might take like a month or two to really get the store back up, because it was a lot of work. And, it's not going to be a quick fix. Like Shopify really fucked me over.
But in the meantime, they can join your email list so that when it does come up,
exactly,
you let everybody know, right? So how do they find you?
Just deepstatemappingproject.com. It's a link in my bio here on Instagram. And the free downloads are back. So all the free downloads of the maps, the Healing Web is not available yet because it's not finished yet.
Okay.
But that will be a free download when it's finished. And then when you go to the website, there should be a pop-up where you can sign up for an email list. if you were on the email list before, I still have all the contacts from the old website. So that's still intact. I have like 5,000 emails from that.
Yeah.
So we're building a new email list. Well, we're adding to the email list. So you don't have to sign up again if you're already part of it. But yeah, then I'll announce when the new website is launched, and it should be all good.
Yeah. Okay. So, and I just want to say, also follow Cosmic Goody Bag on Instagram.
Yes. Everyone follow Cosmic Goody Bag. You know, she's just getting started, but she has got the creds in the industry. She knows what she's doing.
Thank you.
And you know, we got to switch to the new media. You know, we can't be relying on even like Gaia and stuff. Like even the mainstream alternative media has gotten sort of like compromised in a way. So, you know, we're switching to Jordan Sather. Oh, I did have a list of people I wanted to like plug on here, like the alternative.
Oh yeah.
The alternative media that I sort of follow. Let's see.
I also want to get your take on Jussie Smollett. I have to ask you that.
I've not heard of her.
Jussie Smollett, the guy that said he got attacked and it came out.
Oh, from Empire or whatever.
Right.
I watched that show, man. Like, those Hollywood liberals are just off their rocker.
No, but there was conspiracy there. People were saying that he was connected to politicians, and that was like possibly a thing, a conspiracy that was made up.
Yeah, he made it up. And tried to like incriminate, you know, Trump supporters again, which like trying to paint them as racist and homophobic, which is just so not the case. I mean, it's so not the case.
But you can't. I mean, a lot of people can't say that they saw. You know, did you find that a lot of people have to kind of stay? I mean, it's the whole thing is fascinating to me. The whole thing is fascinating to me because the picture that you get on the media is completely opposite in many cases of what it is.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're not at all, like, Trump supporters are not at all these, like, racist, homophobic people that the media is portraying them as. And, you know, I've been to actually 2 Trump rallies myself, not to be, like, chanting USA, 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 but just to sort of, like, get the feel for it. And it's, like, it's honestly, like, such a positive vibe at those rallies that you're just like, wow, it, like, actually makes you, like, proud to be an American for, like, the first time. And you're like, even though like I don't agree with everything he talks about, like I'm definitely not like gung-ho like pro-military in the way he is in some ways, but it's a positive vibe in general. And
that's so most people that are hearing that
just trying to portray it as completely the opposite.
Right. Yeah, it's fascinating to me because, you know, David, you know, James Gillian, you know who he is?
Yeah. I like him.
Yeah, he's amazing. And, you know, he has the whole thing in Washington, and he's got like a port where extraterrestrials are coming through. And he's the most loving being. And he did this whole thing at Contact in the Desert once where he channeled all these different ETs that came through, and he was crying, and like it was really, really beautiful. And then, you know, he's over there saying like he thinks that Trump is helping bust up the deep state, and I'm like, what? He's like the most hippie ET, you know, guy. And I'm like, wow, this is when he said it, I was like, maybe there's something to this, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people, especially in Hollywood, like if you say you're a Trump supporter, forget it. And I'm not saying that I am, by the way. I'm just saying like
yeah, none of us want to say that. Oh, so by the way, I think we hit the time limit on Instagram Live, so should we restart it maybe?
Yeah, we can restart it. We have like 4 minutes.
Actually, I don't even know if I can, if they're gonna like let me like go live for like 2 hours, but we can try.
All right, we can try it. We'll go. I mean, we've got like 5 minutes.
All right, we're back. We're back live.
We're back. We have like 5 minutes. We're wrapping up. But yeah, I do want to say that because, you know, do you follow Joe Rogan? You ever watch his stuff? Do you like Joe Rogan?
I don't really follow him. Like, I mean, it's entertaining, but I don't like. I've seen. Like I watch his whole when Alex Jones is on, I watch Joe Rogan pretty much, but I don't usually watch him if Alex Jones isn't on. And I had seen one Joe Rogan podcast where he was like basically having on someone that wanted to debunk World Trade Center 7 and say the collapse was like a natural phenomenon.
Right.
All right, I got to look for you to let you join. Okay. Other people are asking to join. Do you want to ask to join my Instagram? Oh, I see you. You waved. Is one of your minions?
So
okay here we
go. I watched the Alex Jones Joe Rogan podcast, and I was on the edge of my seat because. But what do you think of Alex Jones? Like, do you think, like, give me your full take on Alex Jones?
So, definitely have a lot of respect for what he's done.
Okay.
I think you really see him shine through at his best, like in his documentaries. Like I have one of his called Terror Storm, and there's another one called Dark Secrets, where he infiltrate Bohemian Grove.
Okay.
And, so he's done a lot of really good work in terms of exposing like important information there. I
Right.
think like on his day-to-day radio show, like it does become a little bit sensationalistic because he has that like anger personality that
Oh
comes
my
through.
God, he
And
gets crazy, and you like, I want to be on your side, and I can tell that you're really smart, but like when he's like, I'm like, what is that?
Yeah.
What is that? You know what I
In a
mean?
way that's entertaining, but in
Okay.
another way he can be a little bit lean towards like fear mongering some. And like he has been like, when something happens one day, like say like we launch a few missiles into Syria, like he will say it's World War III, like for sure. He'll be like,
He'll go there.
oh wait, I lost you on the Instagram live, but
Okay.
try to join Instagram live again. So yeah, he's a little bit fear mongering, but he's done a lot of really good work, and I wouldn't write him off or say that he's like an agent.
Huh?
I mean, maybe he
I'm off.
maybe he is like taking orders from someone, but in general, I think he's presenting pretty good information. So,
Okay. All right. Well, I was just curious about that because I do,
and
but
if they want to invite me on, I'm available.
okay. Well, so unfortunately we have to wrap up here because I'm at Dash Studios and I have the place until 4 PST. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. This has been awesome. Like I can't wait. We're going to have this episode up on Cosmic Goody Bag on YouTube. We'll have the full episode up hopefully by Monday so you can catch all of it if you missed it. And maybe we should do this again. I think we should totally do this again.
Yeah. I'm not sure if this live situation was working. Maybe I think we should do like a separate Instagram live and then like a separate recording, even though that's annoying, but
No, I think so. I think we could do that. I think that sounds like a great idea. What's that?
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, I got my setup in here. I got my lighting, so
Yeah, I look at your lighting. It's delicious. It's delicious, and you got the map back. Okay, so anyway, I just want to say thank you. Remember,
I'll give Instagram live a little tour.
Where's my phone? I mean, where am I off?
This is my old art project Ghost.
Can you put it up? I want to say goodbye. On Instagram? Yeah, I just want to say goodbye. Oh, I didn't. Yeah.
You're not live on my Instagram.
No, I know. We're wrapping up because they're going to have somebody in here. But anyway, I just want to say thank you very much. And do you have a last thing that you want to say as to why you're doing this? And like, also, do you want to invite other people to start helping or what's your shout out to the movement?
My shout out is please do not ask for merch right now.
Oh my God.
The website will be back soon. No, actually, I wasn't going to say soon. The website will be back eventually. It's a lot of work. We're doing our best. Just enjoy the free downloads for now. Print out the free downloads. Is my main thing, is print out the free downloads and give it to a friend or someone that needs to be red pilled, because that's what it's designed for. It's designed as the ultimate red pilling tool.
Right.
And we got the 5-inch flyer, which requires a little bit of cutting, or we have the full page. So check out deepstatematteringproject.com, get the free download, and just wait patiently. Practice meditation and wait patiently for the merchandise to return.
Okay, and then check out Cosmic Goody Bag on Instagram and
that too.
And
check out Cosmic Goody Bag on Instagram. She was on this live, but check her out. Follow her. Yeah. All right. So we're going to wrap up. Thank you so much. And let's do this again. I really appreciate your time. All right. Cool. All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. And we are still live on Instagram. Are we going to talk more here? Or that was the end of the recording, right? Are you gone? That's the end of the recording. I have to get out of the studio. You can keep going with your people if you want live on Instagram if they have questions for you. But I have to get out of the studio. So. All right. I'll close the Zoom. I'll talk to you later. Okay. Peace out. Bye. I'll talk to you soon. Okay. Bye. That was a fun experiment.